I didn't plan on stopping in that town. It was supposed to be a quick drive, just passing through, maybe grab gas and keep going. But my phone had no signal, my GPS froze, and the road I was on just kept getting narrower the farther I went. Eventually, I saw the sign. Small white sign on the side of the road, barely hanging on. No population number, just the name of the town. I remember thinking how quiet it felt before I even got there. Like, no wind, no animals, nothing. Just quiet. If you're listening to this right now, do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me where you're at. I always wonder who's out there listening to these. And if you like stories like this, subscribe to the Insomniac stories. All right, back to it. I pulled into town around sunset. There were maybe 6 or 7 buildings total. A small gas station, a diner, what looked like a closed hardware store, and a few houses spaced out behind them. No cars moving, no people outside. But every building had lights on. That's what made it feel off right away. I pulled into the gas station first. The pumps were old, like really old, and when I got out, I noticed there was no sound, no buzzing, no traffic, nothing. Just that same dead quiet. The door to the station was open, so I walked inside. There was a man behind the counter, older, maybe late 60s, just standing there with his hands resting flat on the counter, staring at the door like he knew I was coming. He didn't say hello, didn't ask if I needed anything, just watched me walk in. I grabbed a bottle of water and set it on the counter. When I looked up at him, he didn't look at the water, he looked at me. Then he said, real calm, "You're not staying, right?" I kind of laughed it off and said I was just passing through. He nodded once, slow, then said, "Good." That was it. I paid, walked out, and told myself I was just being paranoid. But as I got back in my car, I noticed something. Every window in the buildings around me had someone standing behind it, not moving, just watching. I didn't notice them when I pulled in, but now they were there, in the diner window, in the hardware store, even one in a house across the street, just silhouettes, standing still, facing me. I got back in my car and tried to start it. Nothing. Engine wouldn't turn over. I tried again. Nothing. That's when I heard it. A door opening behind me. I looked in the rearview mirror, and the man from the gas station was walking out slowly, wiping his hands on a rag like he had all the time in the world. He didn't come up to my window, didn't knock. He just stood behind my car. Then he said, loud enough for me to hear through the glass, "You should have kept driving." I don't remember deciding to get out. I just did. I stepped out of the car and asked him what he meant. He looked past me, not at me, toward the buildings, then said, "They don't like when people stay." That's when I noticed something worse. The silhouettes in the windows weren't inside anymore. They were outside, standing in the street, behind my car, across from me, closer than before, and still not moving. I got back in my car and tried it again. This time it started, instantly, like nothing had been wrong. I didn't look at him again, didn't look at them. I just drove, straight out of that town. Didn't stop until I hit a highway with other cars and lights and noise. When I finally checked my phone, the signal came back immediately. So did my GPS. I tried to look up the town I had just driven through. It wasn't there. No listing, no map location, nothing. I even went back through my recent routes. That road wasn't on there either. I don't take back roads anymore. And if I ever see a town with lights on, but nobody outside, I keep driving, because whatever was standing in those windows was waiting for me to stop. I didn't even mean to stay the night in that town. I was driving back from a job, already tired, already pushing it longer than I should have. It was late, close to midnight, and I figured I'd just find a cheap place to sleep for a few hours and get back on the road in the morning. That's when I saw the motel. One of those old roadside places, single story, doors facing the parking lot. Half the lights burned out. The sign out front was flickering, missing a few letters. It just said MOEL. I almost kept driving. Something about it felt off. But I was exhausted, and there was nothing else around for miles. So I pulled in. There were maybe 8 rooms total. Only one car in the lot besides mine. Old pickup parked near the far end. No lights on inside it. I sat in my car for a second before getting out. The whole place was quiet, like the rest of the town. No bugs, no wind, no distant traffic. Just that same heavy silence. The office door was open. I walked in and rang the bell on the counter. Nothing. I rang it again. After a few seconds, I heard a door open somewhere in the back. Slow footsteps, dragging a little. Then a woman came out. Older, thin, hair pulled tight back like it hadn't moved in years. She looked at me for a long second before saying anything. "You need a room?" I said. "Yeah, just for the night." She didn't ask for ID, didn't ask for anything really. Just grabbed a key off the wall and slid it across the counter. "Room 3, she said. I paid cash, took the key, and went back outside. As I walked to the room, I noticed something weird. All the doors were closed, but under every single one, I could see shadows, like someone was standing inside, right by the door. I stopped halfway to my room and just looked at them. None of them moved. No footsteps, no shifting, nothing, just shadows, right at the edge of the doors. I told myself people were probably just inside, maybe watching TV, maybe standing around. But who stands right at the door like that? I got to room 3 and unlocked it. The second I stepped inside, the air felt wrong. Not dirty, not musty, just still. Like nobody had opened that door in a long time. I shut it behind me and flipped on the light. Room looked normal enough. Bed, small TV, bathroom. Nothing out of place. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I checked the bathroom. Nothing. Checked behind the curtains. Nothing. I even looked under the bed. Nothing. So I locked the door, put the chain on, and sat down on the edge of the bed. That's when I heard it. A soft knock. Not on my door. On the wall. Right next to the bed. 3 slow knocks. I froze. Then it came again. 3 knocks. Same spot. I leaned closer to the wall without even thinking about it, and I knocked back. Once. There was a pause. Then I heard it again. 3 knocks. Slower this time, like whoever was on the other side was matching me. I stood up and stepped away from the wall. That's when the TV turned on by itself. Just static, loud. I grabbed the remote and shut it off. And then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The chain on the door wasn't latched anymore. I know I put it on. I remember doing it. But now it was just hanging loose against the door. I walked over slowly and locked it again. Double-checked it this time. Then I backed away. Another knock. But this time, it wasn't coming from the wall. It was coming from the door. Slow, deliberate. 3 knocks. I didn't move, didn't say anything. Then I heard a voice. Low, right outside. Wrong room. I felt my chest tighten. I stepped closer to the door, just enough to look through the peephole. Nothing. Empty walkway. But I could feel someone standing there. You ever get that feeling? Like someone's right in front of you even when you can't see them? That's what it felt like. I backed away again. Then the voice came back. Same spot, same tone. Wrong room. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in that chair by the door with my keys in my hand, watching that handle, waiting for it to move. It never did. But around 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard footsteps outside. Multiple, slow, passing by each door, then stopping, right outside mine, and then moving again, like something was checking every room. When the sun finally came up, I grabbed my stuff and got out. Didn't go to the office, didn't check out, just left. As I drove past the motel sign, I looked back one last time. All the doors were open. every single one. And inside each room, someone was standing there, right at the doorway, watching the road, watching me leave. I don't know what that place was. I don't know who those people were, but I know one thing. If I had opened that door when I heard that voice, I don't think I would have made it out. Be honest, if someone knocked on your door like that, would you have opened it? I stopped in that town because of a detour. That's it. There was construction on the highway, and one of those temporary signs sent me off onto a back road I'd never taken before. I figured it would loop back around eventually. It didn't. The road got narrower, darker, and after about 20 minutes I realized I hadn't passed a single car. That's when I saw the town. It wasn't even really a town, more like a few buildings clustered together at a bend in the road. One grocery store, a post office, and maybe 4 or 5 houses behind them. Everything looked old. Not abandoned. Just old. Like it hadn't changed in a long time. I slowed down as I drove through, mostly just trying to get my bearings. My GPS had no signal again, just a blank screen. As I passed the grocery store, I noticed something. Everyone inside stopped moving. I mean, completely stopped. There were maybe 5 or 6 people in there that I could see through the front windows. One guy holding a basket, a woman near the register, another person in one of the aisles. All of them just froze. And then slowly, they all turned their heads toward me. At the same time, I felt that pit in my stomach immediately. That instinct that tells you something's not right. I kept driving. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. Just drove straight through. The road curved past the last house, and I expected it to open back up into something normal. It didn't. It just kept going. Same narrow road, same trees, no signs, no other cars. After about 10 minutes, I checked my rearview mirror, and that's when I saw headlights, way back behind me, coming fast. I hadn't passed anyone. I know I hadn't. But now there was a car. I sped up a little. So did they. I slowed down. They stayed right with me. Same distance, never getting closer, never falling back. Just matching me. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe it was just someone else leaving the town. Maybe they just happened to be going the same way. But then something happened that I can't explain. I took a right turn. No signal, no hesitation, just a sudden turn onto a smaller dirt road that branched off. I wanted to see if they'd follow. They did. No hesitation, same speed, same distance. That's when I knew. This wasn't coincidence. I pushed the car faster, kicking up dust behind me. The road got rough, full of potholes, barely wide enough for one car. Still, they stayed right behind me, headlights steady, not trying to pass, not backing off, just there. I finally saw a clearing up ahead and pulled in hard, spinning the car around so I was facing them. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. The other car stopped about 30 feet away, lights still on, engine still running. But they didn't move, didn't get out, didn't honk, nothing, just sat there. I stared at that car for what felt like forever. Then, slowly, the driver's side door opened, but no one stepped out. It just stayed open, swinging slightly, like someone had opened it and left. I didn't wait. I threw the car back into gear and drove around them, heading back the way I came. As I passed the car, I looked inside. No one was there. Driver's seat empty. Passenger seat empty. Back seat empty. But the engine was running, and the headlights were still on. I drove straight back toward the town. I didn't want to, but it was the only way out. As I got closer, I saw something that made my stomach drop even further. People were standing in the road, same people from the grocery store, same clothes, same faces, just standing there, waiting. I slowed down without even realizing it. And as I got closer, they all started to step forward. At the same time, not rushing, not running, just walking toward the car. like they knew I couldn't go anywhere else. That's when I saw it, in the rearview mirror. The car behind me, the one that was empty. It was moving, coming back down the road, headlights on, still no driver. I don't even remember making the decision. I just slammed the gas and drove straight between them. I didn't care if I hit someone. I didn't care what happened, I just needed out. They didn't try to stop me, they just turned their heads as I passed, watching, every single one of them. I drove until I hit the highway again. Real traffic, real people, real noise. I didn't stop until I was miles away. When I finally pulled over, I checked my GPS. It was working again. I tried to find that road, that town, anything. There was nothing. No record of it. No turn-off. No detour. Nothing. Like it was never there. But I know what I saw. I know what followed me, and I know those people weren't trying to help. They were trying to make sure I didn't leave. Let me ask you something. If that car was following you like that, would you have turned around or kept going? I don't stop for gas in small towns anymore. I don't care how low I am. I don't care how far it is to the next station. I just keep driving. And it's because of one night, one place, I wish I never pulled into. It was late. I'd been driving for hours, barely paying attention to anything except the road in front of me. My fuel light had been on for a while, but I figured I'd make it to the next big town. I didn't. The car started to sputter just as I saw the lights. A gas station. Only one. Sitting off the side of the road like it had been there forever. I didn't want to stop. Something about it felt wrong immediately. But I didn't have a choice. I pulled in. The lights were on, but they weren't bright. More like a dull yellow glow that barely lit the pumps. The station itself looked old, not broken down, just outdated. There were no other cars, no sound, same as the other places I'd passed through. Just quiet. I got out and looked around. Nothing moved. I walked over to the pump and picked it up. No display, no numbers, no sound. It didn't even look like it was working. That's when I heard the door open. I turned and saw a man step out of the station. Tall, thin, wearing a jacket that looked too big for him. He didn't wave, didn't say hello. He just stood there for a second, then started walking toward me. Slow, measured steps. I asked him if the pumps worked. He didn't answer, just kept walking. Then he stopped a few feet away and looked at the car. Not at me, at the car. Then he said, real quiet, "You didn't run out here." It wasn't a question. I told him I was just low and needed gas. He shook his head slowly. "No one runs out here." That feeling hit me again. That same heavy, sinking feeling like I was somewhere I shouldn't be. I told him I'd just go inside and pay. He stepped in front of me. Not aggressive, not fast, just blocked the path. "You don't need to go inside," he said. Then he pointed to the pump. "Use it." I looked back at it. Still nothing. No lights, no numbers. I looked back at him. And that's when I noticed something that made everything worse. There were people inside the station, standing behind the windows, not moving, just watching. Same as before, same stillness, same silence. I stepped back slowly, told him I'd just leave. Didn't need gas, didn't need anything. He didn't move, didn't try to stop me. Just watched as I walked back to the car. I got in, turned the key. Nothing. Dead. Completely dead. No sound, no click. Nothing. I tried again. Still nothing. I looked up. He was closer now, standing right in front of the hood. I hadn't seen him move. He just was there. Then he raised his hand slowly and placed it on the hood of my car. And I swear, the second he touched it, the engine turned over, started perfectly, like nothing had ever been wrong. I didn't wait. I threw it in drive and pulled out as fast as I could. As I passed him, I looked out the side window. He was still standing there, hand raised slightly, like he had just let something go. I didn't look back again, didn't slow down, just drove. And after a few minutes, I checked my fuel gauge. Full. Completely full. I know for a fact I didn't pump anything, didn't swipe a card, didn't pay. But the tank was full. I drove for another hour before I finally stopped at a real station. Bright lights, people moving, normal sounds. I got out and checked my car again. No leaks, no damage. Nothing that made sense. But the thing that still sticks with me is what I saw on the hood, right where he touched it. A handprint. Dark. Like it had been burned into the paint. I sold that car a few months later, couldn't stand looking at it, and I haven't driven through back roads at night since. Not like that, not alone, because I don't know what that place was, and I don't know what that man did. But I know one thing for sure. I didn't leave there on my own. Let me ask you something. If you like stories like this, do me a favor and let me know below. And tell me, would you have stayed and tried to get gas? Or would you have driven off the second something felt wrong?